first and second quarter. Can we do those together? Or do you want separately? Is there a motion to approve those quarterly reports?
So moved.
Okay. Tracy made the motion, Gary seconded to approve the quarterly reports for the Veterans Administration. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So you want me to sign on about the middle or where, or don't care?
One of the third. I pulled the third.
Is the courthouse logger here?
Yes, there's two of them there, and the one that Rick ordered on Amazon was at our store.
The handheld one is here. Maintenance has been informed of that. They also have the one that goes on a cart. Handheld was basically intended to go to the service center. It's still sitting on the auditor's counter.
Does it have chemicals with it? Chemicals?
I
Is that what
think
it
there
does?
was,
A chemical?
I don't know the chemicals came with it.
I don't know if that
No.
was used then, or is that?
I didn't think it
No.
was because the sheriff's
All
office
separate,
had
and you
buku.
just pour it in there, and then that, you just hand spray it on
Kinda like,
everything?
remember the old fashioned Wagner paint sprayers?
Yes,
It's similar to that, only it's,
and so then you,
18 volt.
then you spray it on just stuff, you don't even have to wipe it off or
No
do
break.
nothing, you it just gets on there.
Yep.
How often do you have to do it?
However you feel happy
However
with.
you feel like it.
You gotta walk the dog. No, you don't.
Restrooms would need it more frequently. You know, your doors would, would need it more frequently.
So it just sticks on there,
And
like it just sticks on.
it's kind of like using a disinfectant wipe that dries.
Yeah, yeah.
She'll fold it to just let it work. Barb?
I'd like to settle Andy's hearing for Tim and Shelby Fulton for Tuesday, September 22nd at 9:15.
Is there a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Good. And a second?
Yep.
Alrighty. Tracy made the motion, Gary seconded to set the land use hearing for Tim and Shelby Fulton, September 22nd at 9:15 a.m. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Well, we have a couple minutes here for claims. Questions? I'll ask one. It's page 3, middle there. Voter registration, is that materials, MNTS? Maintenance? What's that?
The state, I voter maintenance review every year.
Okay. For $217,957. Right? $217,957. Three, right in the middle. Fund 0010.
Oh, no, that's not health. That's our regional payment.
It
There's
says
mental health.
voter registration.
Oh, it should be voter registration maintenance.
Okay.
Oh, that's our mental health, that's a typo.
All right.
We're cross-training in there, so I'll fix that. I'm like, no,
It
it should
was
not be
thrown at that.
217,000.
Voter registration?
Nope, that's our
Wow.
quarterly payment to the regional.
Yeah, and that I could understand. But, yeah, thank you.
Do we have, anybody up at Fort Dodge for juvenile detention?
Eldora?
Eldora, yeah.
There must be. I don't get those reports until we have our meeting. We have them every other month. It should be coming up.
So let's say somebody gets sent up there, that's through the sheriff's department?
It usually is through the judicial system.
Oh, yeah.
That is correct. Yeah, and they're sent there for various reasons, but they're juveniles. Yeah. So we have a $10,000 allowance, and at that rate, it'll eat it up quick. But they also offer the services for transportation. You know, they'll come and pick the individuals up, then we don't have to send a deputy, which is great. I don't know if Ron's doing that or not.
Somebody eats the cost.
Pardon me?
Somebody eats the cost.
Well, it's the county residents. Mhm. Other questions? Okay. Don't have any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Okay, motion by Tracy, seconded by Gary to approve the claims. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good morning, Mark.
Morning. How you doing?
Great. How about you?
Doing okay, thanks.
You got up on the right side of the dirt this morning.
Pardon?
I got up on the right side of the dirt this morning.
Good deal.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. Well, you have a couple moments. Did you gentlemen see this quote that Ben had sent out last week? This is for microphones and speakers for up in the courtroom. I'm guessing that falls under reports.
Looks a little different, doesn't it?
Hmm?
Looks a little different, doesn't
Horses is there, but building's gone.
it? Yeah.
If I could get that back, Gary, please.
I noticed that, food expires 30 days from the date, and that's 8/5.
Yep.
You just
Well,
got
at
it.
some point, we're gonna have, yeah, I got it last week. Well, there was a lot of outages. So, what do you do? I'll have to see when Ben wants to take action on this. Okay,
We haven't passed it though, have we?
no. But where do you stop? With everything we've done so far to keep them in our courthouse. Yeah. Well, mark it, it's 9:15.
Good. I've given you an application from Chris and Julie Frimmel for change in land use. Chris and Julie live in Atkins presently. They've applied for a change to build a new home on 2 acres of land that they own. It's on the corner of 70th Street, 26th Avenue. Site is located just north of 70th Street on the west side of 26th Avenue, or in the southeast quarter, section 10, 8310, or El Dorado Township. The parcel is 11.24 acres in size. A few weeks back, I showed you pictures of this property because I came up and asked you on their behalf if you would be willing to do a variance to some of the provisions of the subdivision ordinance. They need to split the parcel again because of the fact that they construction loan with the new home. And you did grant that variance back then. So this is the next step that I'd spoken with Chris about taking, is when they got the variance to apply for land use change, and then if indeed you were in favor of land use change, go ahead, they would go ahead then and prepare the final plat. This land is not in production. Current use of the parcel is pasture. It's been a part of the original farmstead owned by Chris's parents, Bob Frimmel. New driveway will be constructed here, needs to be, and it can be. Randy Sherwood's looked at it, there's no issues with that. Randy was just basically reporting that he would install it when they decided exactly where they wanted things to be. I've talked to Chris about this parcel here a couple of different times. It will need a new septic system, but rural water is available, and they plan to bring the water in there before too long here shortly. Surrounding land uses are farm ground and acreages around it. We did send out notices about the public hearing today. We sent it to 3 adjacent property owners, and we sent it to put legal notices in the newspapers of Benton County as we're required to do. We received no comments about this one way or the other. Basically what I noted about this in my notes when this all started is this request is on family land. There's no concern with any interference with existing farm operations or anything like that. There's no land that's being taken out of production, and so from that standpoint, I felt that it looks good as far as our land use ordinance or our comprehensive plan.
2 of these here. Yeah, I know where it's at.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to be sure.
Yep, I was just curious on something.
That's all I have about it. It's fairly simple and straightforward. And they are minus some buildings, obviously, from those pictures I took in July.
Any questions, gentlemen?
None.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Either or.
All right, well, Tracy made the motion and Gary seconded to approve the land use change for Chris and Julie Frimmel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mark.
There you go. Thank you.
Excellent job as usual.
Thank you. I'm gonna be notifying him and meeting with him tomorrow. I wanna get things kind of laid out where they might go and bringing the water in. I'm gonna look at for septic and whatnot, so,
They got the fence opened up where they want the driveway now, so.
yeah. So it should be moving along. Thanks a lot. Take
Here,
care.
Mark. Thank you. Is there one or two of these there?
There's two.
Okay.
On a side,
What's that?
on a side note, remember the trees that I discussed here 2 months ago at Watkins, the dead ones?
Do we have to worry about them any longer?
They're still up.
Well, there's no foliage to bend them over. We've got item 10. Discuss and approve termination of farm lease.
So moved.
Really? It says discuss and approve.
Well, they're already a year over.
Not according to the contract.
Wasn't the contract for
If they weren't notified within a certain period of time, they had the right to continue. So I'm not sure that it's a year over. You know, we did not notify them. So that's not their fault. But, yeah. And I presume this is the one out here by the county. Okay. All right. So, very good. So you would like to go ahead and send notice, that's what you'd like to do, termination, okay?
Have you doing that, you know that asked to put it on the agenda.
He is,
He asked to put it on the agenda, so I'm
Okay.
asking, is he the one that's gonna set the proper termination of it?
well, he's the one that handled writing the lease up, or forming the lease, so drawing it up, whatever you say, so I anticipate. Just, anybody know if he's coming down for this? Well, there's an extension. Do you recall what the extension is?
I don't know if it's a good thing to terminate or not. Later, I'd like to have
Dial 9.
when they reissue the lease.
9/9/17.
Okay,
Only got 5 days,
so I'm smarter than this thing, it seems.
and if you send it registered, you only got 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were on the speaker. Thank you.
This is the 28th.
Fifth.
Maybe smarter than the phone, it seems.
Oh,
Hi, Rosemary, it's Rick Primer. How are you this fine day?
this week.
Yeah, but yeah, as long as you're in the air conditioning. Yep, yep. Well, David asked that we put, to discuss or approve termination of a farm lease. Do you know if he's coming in for this? Right, right. How about Tim? Is he stopping down? Okay, all right. That's what I was wondering. Okay. Thank you. All right, bye. No one is coming in, so is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Gary made the motion, Tracy seconded to terminate the farm lease on the Cedar Valley Ranch property. I guess that's close.
So we get in touch with them and make sure that gets out first. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be sent.
I'll call right back up. Okay. I'll let them know how to do
Like
it.
you said, they prepare so they can.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Is
Question.
Tim here today?
I don't know if Tim is here. I didn't ask that question. I asked if he was coming down.
Because if they send it,
Have to be right for the
Yeah, that's going away.
Rosemary, I am guessing that your office would go ahead and send notice of the termination of this farm ground, the Cedar Valley Ranch property. Dave had prepared the lease, so in accordance to that, I would think you'd go ahead and send termination notice. Okay, would you please put a note on his desk or hand it over to Tim? Okay, because that should probably get out there ASAP. Termination. All right. And then get us a copy. I think it'd be prudent. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Any reports? Are they coming on the floor of that building out there?
waiting on Pickering,
Yeah.
which I understand.
You
He's-
bet. Yeah.
He
Well,
assured me this week, so. And then once he gets done, then Edwards can start doing the plumbing, putting the drains in. I guess that's kind of the only hang up right now. I wanna meet with Dana. I just wanted to put 4 drains in, big ones, and Dana still wants a gutter system in it. Well, it's a lot more expensive.
gutters are a pain in the tush.
Well,
I've got them in my shop.
I need for you to come after the meeting then and meet with Dana then.
Oh,
That helps me.
What she's using for grading, but, you know,
She's got grading over here, and I understand her concern that there's like 2 spots when they built that, cemented that building out. There's ponds before, you know.
well, if they
the
do
grade.
the concrete correctly, there
Right,
wouldn't be any ponding,
correct, so
puddling, whatever.
I
you should
understand, you know, I mean, nobody's perfect. You try to be, but. But anyway, there's a big difference in price.
How much difference is there?
9,500 for the French drains, compared to 2,500. For 8 drains. And these drains are, I got them in the back of the pickup. They're 1 foot by 2 foot deep. And the pipe's up above it, so the dirt or whatever settles in the bottom instead of going in the, you know.
How's that work for clean out then?
But
Foot
it
square?
pops right off. Floor drains, I don't know.
Right.
But they pop right off, and like I said, they're yay wide, and that's why I brought one along to show Dana.
There's 8 of them, you said,
8 different ones, yeah.
4 on each side.
3 on one side, 5 on the other. You see, you're gonna have 40 by 40 offices. So,
Well, I have the troughs, if you will.
okay,
They get filled with debris.
yep,
And then I've got a large pit. I've got a couple large pits
okay,
where it goes down 2. And they're probably 3 by 4.
wow.
large pits.
Yeah.
On that one.
And they're deep,
It was
they're
just because I
probably 4
didn't go in
foot
and
deep.
completely delete it.
Well, it's like a car wash,
Yep,
if
yep,
you will.
Yeah, no,
yep.
And,
that's why.
So.
you know, so what happens is all this crap comes down the trough or gutters, ends up going down in there, and then the easiest way is to hire someone with a septic system, you know, pump, to come in and pump them out.
Mhm,
That's the easiest.
mhm.
I'm a little concerned with foot by foot, being a foot deep, they're gonna fill fast. You know, all that road grime and
I would
so,
agree with that, but like I said, on your pit, you probably don't clean it maybe once a year or every once every 2 years.
it's that, yeah.
You know, I'm looking at what, if she puts these in, to me, I would just say once a month, you're gonna clean it manually.
And somebody's gonna get on their hands and knees and go out there and scoop it out. Yeah, right. Especially if you've got a pipe coming up the center of it,
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Pipes on the side of it,
okay.
and then it's, like I said, it's about a foot
That's
deep.
the way mine is, pipes
Yeah.
on the side,
Yeah,
so that you get the
Yeah.
the liquid off, you know, so, but, yeah.
like I said, I'm gonna let her decide, cause I'm set, you know.
Mhm.
In Blairstown there, they got the car wash, they plugged the sewer. Cause they didn't clean it out. And it's, I mean, you know,
That's a no-no, you're supposed to clean them up. Okay, 9:30, time for the canvassing of Walford's, for City of Walford special election.
This is the first tier canvas. We will be canvassing the second tier canvas, Lynn County side, next week. So we will not declare a winner, until we get Lynn County side. So what you have in front of you, you have the precincts first, or the precinct first, and then the absentee. So Brett Frieden, 118, Randy Bauer, 104, Tammy Horrock, 5, 0 write-ins, 0 under, 0 over. Going to absentee precinct, next page. Brett Frieden, 0, Randy Bauer, 4, Tammy Horrock, 0, write-ins, under and over are all 0. So then I just need a motion to approve the first tier canvas as read.
Whoa.
second,
Okay, Tracy made the motion, Gary seconded to approve the first tier canvassing for the City of Walford special election. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And then I just need your signature on those 3 pages. I think so. I don't know if right away, but soon thereafter.
This one says clerk,
That's Haley.
okay. Members of the Board of Supervisors, okay. You want all 3 of us to sign these, don't you?
Yep, all the abstracts, whoever's present during the canvas has to sign them.
does that present a lot of extra work?
What?
Having-
Canvas?
Having a city on the edge of the county.
Yes and no. They changed things in 2018 where Benton County is the control county of City of Walford. But if it's over so many people that are registered to vote, they would have to do their own side. So that's where Lynn County had to have their own election last Tuesday, and we had to have our own election. So I have to canvass our votes, and then I have to canvass their votes separately. They have to certify them to us. So I can't declare a winner, because I'll be honest with you, I know what the total is. What we have versus what Lynn County has, it changed the outcome. So I can't even declare a winner at this point in time because Lynn County changed our results. Or not our results, it changed the overall winner. So that's why there's 2-tier canvases.
Where was the polling place in Lynn County?
Fairfax.
Really? Couldn't have it at Wild Hogs?
No. Because that was discussed too. Their polling place was able to be used. It was more or less how to get there was
Okay. Because 151 being shut down.
was the area of concern.
Yep.
So, but we really lucked out that way. I know cell service was spotty the day of election, but that was pretty much all the issues that we had. So we were pretty fortunate. Because I know I'm going to have to go out and look at quite a few polling places here in the next couple weeks.
Okay. And then, I presume bring that back next week so we can,
Yeah, it's on your agenda next week to do the
Okay.
second tier canvas.
okay, but then you'll have copies of the first tier as well, or you'll have totals.
I'll just have totals.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dave Thompson sent me a text. Says typically the auditor's office handles the leases, including sending out a notice of termination. And it also needs to be tracked on the calendar. I can ask him to handle that. I'll send him that text afterwards. So, okay.
I would assume that our county attorney would handle those things.
I
normally.
just read the text message. I don't know. I know that he handled the lease. The auditor's office did not. So, but we will. I will send him a text after the meeting. Okay? No sense doing it now. Well, Ron should be coming in here.
Shelby asked me to relay something now, and I just have to think of it now. Because she sent it in an email. She ran it by me. The bare ground up there on that hard farm, they had oats on it. And they combined the oats off of it.
Okay, who is they? I realize.
I really don't know.
Okay.
I think it's Watson, PJ Watson, I think.
Wason. Okay, there
I-
must be a lease involved
That I don't know.
through conservation.
Well, I don't know that. This is Karen.
Sure.
But anyway, they sold the oats and then they baled the straw and they sold the straw bales. So she got a check. I don't know. I did not ask. She did not say the dollar amount, whatever. But what she wants to know, can she take that money, deposit it, and send the money back to help pay for the land? And I would think, since the money was actually generated from the land, it should go for help paying for it.
I don't see a problem, but she's gonna have to have some sort of spending authority for that, isn't she?
How many acres was it?
Quite a bit, 30 acres, 40 acres. It was on the south side of the creek. Okay, we got a check from Wayne for harvesting the cover crops and oats on the Shane property. I talked with Tracy.
From Wayne?
Wayne.
Wayne Silo.
Wayne Silent.
Okay.
Sent BJ Wason.
Okay, see, I did not know.
Which makes sense because he farms out there.
Okay. Tracy, let's see, I talked with Tracy to request funds be transferred from the land rent line item, which the check will be deposited to the land acquisition, as well as request spending authority for that item.
Okay.
This will happen again late spring, early summer, for cereal right. Tracy said, I come before, he said, no, you don't have to. That's about it. So since she did not, I told her, I says, you're busy enough, you don't need to come here. I can relay the message, which
Sure.
I just did, so.
So what do we need? We need a motion.
Well, we gotta wait till she actually does the deposit the checks and how much the money's for. It'll be more or less, I call it a pass through. Go in one count.
Right back out.
Yep.
Yep.
Is that right, Haley?
Some of their spending authority.
Okay. Hello, Sheriff.
Hello. How are you today? I'm okay. It's Tuesday.
One day closer to the weekend, not that that matters.
No, it doesn't matter. Unless it's supposed to be cooler as the week goes on.
I think so.
But I really didn't think much of yesterday. When we waited to load the truck, we were cleaning out a bed, we waited till almost 7 o'clock to load. It was still pretty clean. My skin was
We
leaking.
loaded till 1 o'clock. That's why
There's no medication for that. We don't have air conditioning. God, I'm gonna say this. I saw a nice, pretty white dog across the street.
Two?
I saw one.
I believe there was two beautiful dogs. I mean, they were,
The one I saw was really nice.
yes, beautiful.
I'd call it. Kind of look like they were like each other.
Yes,
He
yes.
says there's going out of condition. Excellent. No roofs.
No need to be beating
No,
though.
it's growing.
You are correct, Sheriff. Saturday, Sunday, the forecast is for 80 and 79 degrees. And then upper 70s basically next week.
Oh, upper 70s. I can say I can go 69, 70. Not that I'm picky.
Yeah, there you
That'd be right up my alley. We need a little rain. Oh, boy. The ground is hard.
Any word of that company coming in over at the service center? Next to you.
No. I'm gonna walk across and see if I can, that lady didn't respond to me. Or maybe she was on vacation or whatever. I'll just see if I can track her down, because they were all about it.
That's what I thought.
Sheriff, before we get into your portion here, in the auditor's office is a Ryobi 18-volt cordless sprayer that we ordered in for disinfecting at the service center. Is that something you think Dick would go ahead and spray
Oh, I'm sure he would.
at least the common areas? Okay.
I'm sure he would.
They can take it over their half-dry leaf.
Okay.
Since he's got the juice to put in it, I'm sure he'd take care of
Well,
that.
you've got,
Do you have some extra? Excuse me.
Well, I'm sure we've got some.
we're gonna need it at the courthouse as well.
But Haley, you don't have anything?
I don't know if that big one come up more. Or the janitors out.
Did you order yours separately?
Did you order the disinfectant?
You ordered a big jug, if I remember.
Yeah. Mix it up with 5 gallons of water.
From what you were saying, it doesn't take a lot, so
Does not.
that may work out quite well.
Hi Katie, how are you?
I just figured that
Very good.
the sheriff took it over, it would be more of an authority.
I'm sure this will.
You know, and then, they've got the knowledge of how to mix it, you know, whatever. I don't want to step on your.
No, I wanted to get it there.
Yeah.
It's been here a week now.
Okay, didn't know that.
It's just
Okay.
nothing.
Maintenance was aware of it, that's about as far as that goes.
We went for a walk last night, and my son was like, "Oh, what's wrong with the air?" What's really happening?
Because I'm a fat kid. Tell them that I walked out the door.
Well, it was 72 about then, when, when I came out, it was still 72.
It was hot.
Well, Sheriff, just, it is 9:45, but I'm gonna ask you a question, will you take that
Sure.
auger over it and then, whatever chemicals it takes? And I will get with, maintenance downstairs, make sure they get with your department if they need chemicals, if they do not have them.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. And it is, 9:45.
Hang on there, Katie.
I'm not. Sorry. Not at all morning.
Our Benton County Public Director of Public Nursing. Is that close?
Public health. Yeah.
Public health nurse.
Yeah.
She's got the numbers, let everybody know what's going on.
All right, guys, so right now in Benton County, we have 182 folks that have been positive. We've got our positive percentage rate over the last 14 days is at 4.4%. In our region, so region 6, we have 65 people in the hospital. 14 of those are in the ICU. We've had 4 admits within the last 24 hours. So we have, in our region, 67 ICU beds available, 168 ventilators available, and right now we have 5 COVID folks on ventilators in our region. As I went back, as follow-up from our question last time as far as Benton County, how many of our folks have been in the hospital, I would say between 10 to 15 of those people have been hospitalized out of those 182 that we have. Of course, some of those folks we send to the ER for fluids or different things, but they don't necessarily stay. So that's what we're setting up for current numbers, which that's down a little bit from the previous last couple weeks. So I'm interested to see how our numbers will be, you know, after the storm and just after folks being together. It's usually about 2 weeks after we kind of see those spikes, like after 4th of July, you know, and those types of events.
So if I may ask a couple questions. In Benton County, 182 positive cases, 10 to 15 of those cases have been hospitalized. And in the and that, is that the 4.4%?
So that 4.4%, what the state's doing is we have that number for like our public schools. So we look at the 14-day average.
Mm-hmm.
The schools are looking at different parameters determining what level the kids are in school at, and kind of helping them use that for a guideline as far as our positive cases here in the county. So they're currently at 4.4%.
So 4.4% is the number of cases, 182 of the total Benton County population.
Yep, over the last 14-day period.
Okay.
So we're just kind of averaging that out every couple of weeks so that we can get a big picture of what's happening in the county.
And in Region 6,
Yeah.
which is what counties, please?
So that is Alameda, Benton, Blackhawk, Brainerd, Buchanan.
You're going a little faster.
They're all the bad counties.
Here, I'll give you this too. So here's kind of how the state is mapped out by
Oh,
region.
yeah, sure.
So you want to keep that?
If you don't mind, I'll
So where
share.
that whole area sits.
So you've got Region 6A and 6B.
Yep, and they're combined.
Okay.
So region 6.
All right. So, well, they're not all bad counties, but there's a ton of them. But,
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Johnson is in Region 5A.
Yep. We hold, like Lynn, we have Buchanan, Dubuque, you know, we kind of have all that border.
Blackhawk and Dubuque are
Yeah.
kind of
So
spicy.
when you look at kind of over the region, and you look at those numbers as far as people hospitalized, you know, with that being 65, you know, we have 14 people in ICU. You know, it seems like our acuity isn't as high. You know, before, you know, we're worrying about ventilators and having the supplies and, you know, that sort of thing. So our numbers that way are looking pretty good.
Good.
And how recent is your numbers?
As of this morning.
Okay. So you were talking about 2 weeks ago, whenever COVID hit, or whenever this storm hit.
Yeah, like that week before this storm, we had quite a few number of cases come through.
But what you said, typically with people getting together for cleanup, et cetera, it's about 2 weeks after that cleanup
Yeah, we
that
could
it's
too,
gonna
it
start
seems.
seeing perhaps maybe a spike.
Yeah, I kind of anticipate it, you know, I'm curious, you know, as we bring schools back into session. You know, Center Point Urbana started yesterday. There's us and Belle Plaine, Benton Community, I believe, start.
That one starts
At
the
8.
8th.
Another school start a week, you know, in 1 week, next week. So we'll monitor that. And of course, I've been working with the schools to kind of get things in place. Or Belle Plaine, they're going to start with their hybrid model, which is bring 50% of the kids back. So they're kind of starting off slowly, you know, to kind of adapt or see after their board met, which they met again last night. So I haven't spoke with anybody from there, but they were going to kind of gradually try to phase things in. You know, Center Point Urbana, they went back 100%. You know, we're looking at going back 100%. So we've been working with the schools to try to cohort those kids or keep those kids together and encourage masking and all of these types of things to help decrease the spread.
Benton Community, what are they doing?
Benton Community, I believe that they are going back. They've had kind of this delay with the storm and everything, so, but I believe they're going back at 100% as well.
Okay.
And they're encouraging masking and working on that social distancing as best as they can and that sort of thing, so.
Do you have a clue what Union is doing? Because that affects, you know, the northwest part of Benton County.
Yep, and I do have their plans, and I think that they are going back at 100% as well with encouraging masking and that type of thing. So it will be interesting over the next couple of weeks as we kind of phase kids back in, what that's going to look like.
And it's not just kids going to school, it's going to be the activity as well.
Yes.
Football, for example, and the games, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's hope to God we don't have any spikes.
yeah, of course, I'm concerned, you know, just anytime we group people together, like we've seen in all these hotspots or care centers early on, or these big companies, you know, anytime you get people together, you know, and if you're not using, you know, the masks or able to social distance or those types of things, that's when we really see our numbers can go up.
So you're cautiously waiting to see what happens. Is that a good statement?
Yes. Yes. You know, we've worked, you know, Dr. Mangold, she's our medical director for our Board of Health. She's been working with me alongside me with the schools and everything. And so we've really got in there and kind of done walkthroughs and looked at spacing and different things throughout the county. So we're hoping, you know, working with what we have, and you know, the last couple of weeks that's kind of consumed us, of course, getting prepared for this moment. So.
Okay. All right. Questions, gentlemen?
You've tracked all 182 people, right?
Yeah.
On a piece of paper.
Yep, we have that all.
Scott, you want to set it here? Sorry.
So for our disease investigations, which we routinely do for a lot of different things that are reportable through Iowa, we use a system through the state. So we have diseases that are mandated by physicians or laboratories to let us know. So that comes across in a computer system. So we have, you know, patient information, their address, their phone number, you know, everything in there, and the disease that they're positive for. So we follow up on all those cases to make sure, so COVID is included in that.
Of these 182 people, is that from day one?
Yes.
Okay.
That is our,
So if they have recovered, they're not taken off the list?
so they're taken off our list, but that total number that we're reporting is the total number, you know, cases.
So the 4.4% is anyone that has tested positive from basically sometime in March to current.
So that 4.4%, that's goes back for 14 days. It's a 14-day average. Because, you know, we're capturing those current positive
I
cases.
guess you did say that, I apologize.
No, you're right.
Yeah, there's so much stuff thrown and, you know.
A lot of numbers.
Yeah. Is that percentage on the increase or decline, would you say?
That has recently decreased
That's recently decreased.
slightly. I think we were up to 7
Really?
or 8 a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, nice.
So that just kind of varies, you know, and like I said, you know, it seems like we see that trend up after events, you know.
Yeah.
So like
And
giving
that's what-
graduation parties or 4th of July, you know, you kind of see it up where people are gathering.
Labor Day as well as school startups, cleanup from storms. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why you're,
That's why I'm kind of anticipating that. Yeah. I don't want it to.
Yeah. if you had a cure, you could make a lot of money.
Well, an update, so, we are kind of reviewing our mass dispensing plans and these types of things. Iowa Department of Public Health, did notify us that they have a vaccine in phase 3, so it's human trials, that they're working with that looks very promising. This would be a 2-dose vaccination. We're anticipating maybe the end of the year, early next year, for us to be working on the plans, because that will come through public health and will be actually, we would dispense the vaccine out to providers, or, you know, kind of follow that tier as far as, you know, are we going to start with healthcare workers or elderly or children, or, you know, how that's established. So we are working towards that.
Sure.
So that may be something to come within the next 6 months.
It may start out as essential workers, for example.
Yeah.
And that type of thing.
So does this disease, does it mutate? In other words, is the vaccine gonna be effective? In other words,
Yeah, are we gonna get this vaccine and then it's gonna change? you know, with this being so new, you know, that's continuously what they're working on studying to see. You know, it's kind of like it's interesting with this being a new virus, kind of seeing how it even reacts in the different environments and that type of thing, which they're working on all the time. And of course, they've been working tirelessly on even developing a vaccine to kind of get us back on track. So as they keep studying things, I think it'll be interesting what comes out about
I
it.
do hear some things on the radio that it's changed from what it was originally. So, but I don't know if it's the same pathogens or if it's different pathogens.
And you look at, you know, it seems like early on, you know, when it kind of hit us, we had a lot of people really sick, you know, and I don't know if that's evolving or, you know, if we're getting better at, you know, keeping people out of the hospital or our treatment or, you know, there's so many different things to look at. And so as they keep releasing information and studies, it's really interesting to track it on how it's progressed, you know.
Far apart are the shots given? What's the time frame for the first one and then the second one?
No, they didn't have a lot of details. I know it would be 2 doses, and I believe that they said it was like 2 weeks apart. But I think they're working on that fine tuning of what brand or where that's coming from. Those kind of details we didn't get.
So you needed 2 doses though.
Yeah,
You can't
I
just
think
go
that's-
get one and then maybe forget, not get the other.
Yeah, it was a 2-part series. And so, you know, then we'll be working with providers or getting that vaccine out to,
All that's a little premature at this point. in
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
they're saying, you know, telling us to start working on these things, so.
Sure.
Generally speaking, in livestock, if the first dose is given, the animals get sick, they don't get as sick as if they've never had the first dose. In other words, it don't. In other words, what happens is they get some immunity, they get with the first dose, but they don't get.
I think that's basically what the flu shot is, that if you do get the flu, it's not as severe.
Yeah, it's kind of a
It's-
pick of those strains
Yeah.
and what they project that looking like, you know, and falling.
Is there anything else? Other questions?
On your numbers, I've been trying to get an answer for 2 months and I can never get one from anybody.
Okay.
Out of the 182, now you said 10 to 15 were hospitalized.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
My question is, how many tested positive but had no symptoms out of the 182?
So about 13% of those people had no
That's it?
symptoms at all. Yep, and about 48% of those people, the numbers that we're seeing probably the most is between 18 years old and 40 years old. Kind of those are the folks that we're seeing it in the most. Our elderly, that's pretty low, but you know, I know they're not out and about as much, or you know, I think we've really kind of honed in to help, you know, keep those folks safe. So you really look at those middle-aged people that are out and about, so, and working, and so I would see them kind of being the biggest percentage of people affected. But 13% of those people have no symptoms at all. I would have, no idea that, we're catching a lot of those now, especially as people are doing surgeries again. And so they're opening up and doing pre-op, you know, to make sure they don't have COVID and coming back and COVID, you know, which is surprising because you would think normally you would have symptoms, which makes.
And they've never had symptoms.
Yep, you say no symptoms at all. You know, but a lot of people too, we have to think it's allergy season. You know, a lot of people have allergies, and so what somebody thinks is normal or would be normal, and with COVID, you know, every symptom falls into COVID. You know, it's ruling that out if you don't have another prognosis or, you know, we're testing a lot of.
Now, on the test, I was told this too, it's not gospel, that if you even had a head cold, you would test positive for the virus.
Not unless you have the virus, just because you have a symptom does not mean that you have COVID. So there's still the other normal things and, you know, those things that aren't as severe, the common cold that people can have, you know, and So with health cares, we have people see their primary doctor, at least they can rule out some of those other things and take the time to kind of talk through things. You know, we have the ability to do rapid testing. The thing with the rapid testing is you don't want to test somebody too early or too late. You know, there's kind of a, you know, we look at past 48 hours or really within that first 3 to 5 days that those tests are most accurate. But we have, you know, strep throat and ear infections and all kinds of things. So when you go to the doctor, at least they're able to look at all those other things, test you so we know for sure. And I think with school starting, you know, we have so many kids with that the normal stuff, you know, that I think it's really important. You know, I met with the hospital physicians this morning, and I'll meet with them tomorrow morning just to kind of ramp us up and prepare us, because I think we're going to be seeing a lot of kids. Of course, to rule out COVID, because we don't want them in school if they have to happen. So, but there's all that normal stuff too that it's just really getting an appointment so you can be evaluated to know which one you have or what you have. But yeah, the likelihood, you know, you can get a false negative test, but you know, if you're testing positive, then you know, we're pretty confident that you do have COVID. But it's ruling out those other things.
Anything else? Other questions?
So do you know, like now, how many people actually have it?
So our active count, and that's a good question. They used to have that on the website, and they've made some changes, but right now I believe we're about 40, 45 active in the county right now that we're currently monitoring. Because after that time frame, you know, we do our isolation release based on time. So after a person, we go back 48 hours prior to somebody developing symptoms, and for those that test positive with COVID, we keep them in a 10-day isolation arm until they're fever free for 24 hours or their symptoms have improved. You know, we look at that 48-hour period to that 10-day that we think people are most infectious or would be infectious. So after that, and some of the symptoms have improved, we, you know, feel like they're fine and they're not putting anybody at risk. For people that don't actually test positive, that just have symptoms or have that exposure, we isolate them for 14 days because we want to make sure that they don't develop symptoms. You know, if it takes 3 to 5 days to even develop symptoms, you know, we want a good time frame that we're keeping them isolated so they're not exposing somebody else. And if they make it through that 2 weeks and, you know, feel good and no symptoms, then yeah, we go ahead and release them.
Now, there was some, I don't know if it was in Benton County or not, there was someone that tested positive and they were at home with their family and the rest of their family members didn't all test positive ever again.
Yeah, we've had that happen several times, which is really a great thing. You know, you think those household contacts or those people that you're immediately with are the highest risk. So we've had a lot of families, you know, as soon as they're getting tested, well, I'll call them and they'll say, oh, Katie, I moved to the basement. I'm totally away from my family. We can wipe things down and I'm completely separated. And a lot of times those folks, the rest of their family don't get sick. You know, it just kind of depends. There's some living situations that you can't really social distance in your house. So, you know, a lot of those times, that's why we have that household contact, regardless, isolate. Sometimes they do develop symptoms, and I think our numbers are a little skewed because those people that are already isolating, if they develop symptoms, they won't necessarily go and get tested. They'll just stay home and isolate and monitor their symptoms. So
You've been dealing with the schools, right?
Yep.
On what the school boards kind of deciding what they're doing. I guess maybe you can bring me up to date. I have no kids in schools, period, anymore. I have a daughter that teaches in Wisconsin. I have a daughter-in-law that teaches at Jessup, Iowa. And both of them, we had FaceTime on Sunday. Both of them said it was not explained to them, like if a household had 4 kids and they're going to school, and one kid tested positive, the other 3 can still go to school. Now, how is the schools in Benton County going to handle this?
When we do our contact tracing, if we have immediate family members, we will recommend that they isolate for 14 days. So, and with the schools, so they have, I know, here, IDPH has put out, recommendations and been working with the schools as well. So, as we work with the schools, you think about if we have one child test positive, we're really working on, the schools making seating charts and keeping kids kind of cohorted or kind of with the same 6 kids all the time. So if one of those kids gets sick, and they're not requiring masks, they're encouraging masks. So you think if you have one kid that's positive, it's taking out those 6 kids. And then also, of course, any of their household contacts. But instead of losing your whole class, they're hoping to keep kids together so we can just take out those 6 kids instead of the 20 or whatever it is. So we've been really working on that. As far as our contact tracing or those things, we haven't made really any changes to that. It's either the 10 days or the 14 days. Now, if you had a parent that cares for a small child, of course they can't distance, so we just isolate the family. But I think that's the importance of having the contact tracing done, so you can identify those folks and keep them isolated or keep them together.
Getting back to the mask now, it's not mandated here for the schools, or they're not mandated?
They are not mandating. They are talking about, and I haven't heard final word about, like maybe riding the bus that kids need to. Anytime that they can't really separate out those kids. And it kind of varies from school to school on what they're doing, and then their community response. A lot of people are not, are really pushing for kids to go back. And I know that there's been petitions and things like that in Belle Plaine. And, you have people that are either okay with wearing masks or very, don't believe in that or don't feel like we can make them. So all we can do is continue to encourage it. I know that most of the schools are having their teachers masks, so hopefully helping set that example and really encouraging it for our kiddos, whether they do that at home or not. But I know that they're stressing that. So
Here in the courthouse, for example, in the common areas, we have masks or face shields.
Yep.
The schools aren't going to allow face shields?
I think they're presenting folks with several options.
I
know
see.
Some of them are also like purchasing cloth masks. It was nice to hear that, already talking about fundraisers and different things about having cloth masks with like the Benton County logo and things like that. So people are really being creative and looking at different things, and as you think of some of our kids coming back to school that maybe have health conditions or things like that, they could wear a shield or, just looking at those things and
Sure.
working with the nurses to make that possible. So.
Thank you. Yeah. Other questions, gentlemen?
I'm done.
Appreciate the update, really do.
Absolutely.
I think the big thing to take away from this is things could possibly spike again with, the storm and the cleanup, school startups, the activities. So it's possible. Hopefully it won't, but it's as well as Labor Day. But based on experience what little we have, it's probable.
Yeah, I know everybody's been, with this being new, I know everybody's really working hard and, trying to make best decisions and trying to get things back to normal. And you think of all the different scenarios and, a lot of times it's just brainstorming through, well, if this happens, and learning. And I do think that everybody, in working with the schools and the businesses, just having the chance to talk through things and getting those plans in place have been really important. But I really feel like people are really trying, and taking things seriously.
The people that are not affected but positive, they're not.
If they don't have no symptoms.
Has anyone translated that into the general public? In other words, let's say the whole public was exposed, how many people in the public would have symptoms, how many people would be in the hospital, how many people would be?
I don't know those exact numbers, of course, which brings me back to the contact tracing, why that's so important. So, and as people kind of tracker, we use that within 6 feet or greater than 15 minutes, just to help people kind of gauge those things. And those folks that are asymptomatic, like I said, there's like 13% of our population that people would have had no idea that they even had symptoms. So it's interesting, and I think that's what's made this kind of difficult too, because our symptoms and the severity that people are affected it's kind of all over the place. You can have people that get really, really sick, and you have people that have no idea that they even have it. So
But
it's been
still
really,
test positive.
yeah, that still test positive. So it's just interesting.
But we are going to revisit this September 15th as a board. Would you be able to come back at that time? We would definitely need an update.
Yep.
I think that would be very prudent.
I know at our Board of Health meeting, we had talked about, me trying to have a standing time or to come in at least monthly or something, and I'm happy to do that.
I think that'd be wonderful. Hopefully, the 15th is, gonna be about,
It'll be a couple weeks then, and so.
yeah, and so maybe we'll be a little wiser, so after the schools start up, how we're looking.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
But thank you.
Thank you, one and all. Sheriff, thank you for having us.
You didn't have any questions?
Well, I talked to him for an hour yesterday.
Yeah. We have a meeting every Monday.
We meet with him every Monday. Virginia Gate comes and
So,
really super about it.
so,
That's tough stuff. I've got someone who's not very moved. That's just nasty.
Haley said she gets disinfectant coming from the Budweiser. Yeah. So,
That might be a little hot.
some on the hand, some on the mouth. Yeah.
Next the day go.
What's Scott? Sorry, we missed our 10 o'clock.
We're all right. And you may even wonder why I'm here before we get all done with all this.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm just going to give you copies of a couple little emails that have been coming through to Sarah, mental health region-wise. I
There's
highlighted.
more that I didn't get,
Yeah.
that apparently got to Mona and didn't get to me, so we've
It's,
got some
I
other,
think it's all of the same gist, but
yeah.
so, when we have widespread disasters like this one, we have a Benton County Disaster Recovery Coalition, or 501c3, formed after 2008. We've dealt with the 2008 flood, 2011 windstorm, the 2013 flash flooding, the 2016 tornado, and the 2016 river flooding. And as you well know, just in your general lives, every time we activate 2 or 3 years apart, everything's different because things have changed. The biggest change on this one is most of my key players on the Disaster Recovery Coalition have changed since 2016. And the biggest change has been what used to be the County Office of Social Services is now mainly the mental health region and
MHDS of the Central Region.
that one. And 20% doing general assistance still under that social services banner. So the reason I'm here is that office and the person in that office are key to our Disaster Recovery Coalition. I'm just gonna give you a quick down and dirty how it works. When FEMA individual assistance does not open, which it hasn't yet for Benton County, they're still trying, I'm not sure we're gonna make it. So I'm just gonna plan that FEMA individual assistance is not gonna open. The first assistance available to our citizens who meet income guidelines is the Iowa Individual Assistance Program, which I talked about last week, that runs through HACAP. HACAP manages that. It has to go there first. They're assigned, and HACAP provides case management through the whole process. As you can imagine, with the multiple counties that HACAP represents all being impacted by this, they are going to be a little bit overwhelmed with being able to manage these cases. So they've reached out to, I don't know if they reached out or if our mental health region people at the higher up levels reached out to them and said, hey, we want to partner with you, and we're able and willing to provide some of our staff to help with that case management process. Are you okay on track so far? Okay, that's why she's here. So the other part of it is when HACAP is done, those cases then come directly into our Disaster Recovery Coalition. And we need some internal controls with that too. Basically, we form a committee, and it's always revolved around the social service office taking the lead. Why? Because they have all those other programs that they know they can put people into. They know most of those. So we've always relied on Mary Williams in the past, Carol Zander in the past, to just as county employees, social service office, they just came over, they jumped right in, they did all that work, they helped organize that, because that's not the way that office looks now. We've got permission out of the mental health region, but you're still paying part of her salary. And there's another aspect to assistance that we can tie into, which is Lindsay with the Rural Access Center, because she has experience doing this. She did it at the Marshalltown tornado for their camp in 2016, so she knows this process. So the main reason I'm here is to ask for anything you guys have to do with your control of those two employees. They can kind of take the lead with our Disaster Recovery Coalition and help us manage those cases once they get to our level. Does that make sense?
Seems like a no-brainer.
Well, yeah, but we know the pay and
Because of funding.
funding, and that's the reason I'm over here, because I don't want to just automatically assume I can take them and use them for the recovery
I
coalition.
don't know how you
It's part of
are
their job.
gonna, so, do the funding, but it needs to be worked out.
Yeah, and this part, there's
Stage two, yeah.
if they're assigned, if HACAP uses, I'll just say Sarah, if HACAP uses Sarah to help with our local case management process, the Department of Human Services then has reimbursement for that, which would then come into the region to, and I assume eventually into this budget, however that works. So that's why I'm here, because it's a lot. It's not just a county office, and I'm not sure how that funding works. I know you guys reimburse the region, so I just want to make sure, number one, you're aware that we want to make this work.
That's another problem for, accounting, goes to the auditor's office, yeah, but it needs to work.
Yes, it does. That is the key office, and Lindsay would also
And
be, since
Lindsay
she
as
has
well.
experience, because and that helps both of them take a little bit of the workload. Lindsay can help manage the paperwork and get it to Sarah, and Sarah can say, we have this general assistance program, we can fund that, this general assistance program, we can fund that. The rest of this has to go to the coalition, and we can make a decision on helping that individual or family with our money. Because we go last, so it has to go through those programs first after it comes to us from HACAP.
We do have part-time lady in place, Adriana Hennings, that can cover the access center while Lindsay is doing this.
You have no problem with Lindsay?
Don't have any problem with that.
And this really isn't, I mean, it's not a full-time deal, we
It's
get
probably
a
gonna
few,
be busy.
Yeah.
we'll get a few cases per week. Once it gets through that process, they'll just keep trickling in based on past experience. Once HACAP's done with them, with the Iowa Individual Assistance, then it'll come to us. And it's usually a handful of cases per week. We form a subcommittee with 2 other commission or coalition members. They meet and they vet it all out first during the week. That's the kind of work that gets done. Then we meet weekly as a coalition. They bring those recommendations to us, and we basically bless them unless we have some other red flags that people know about. We never know the names. It's a case number at that point. So we're not dealing with any prejudices of who it might be. It's just a number to us with the coalition. And
How many cases do you expect?
50 to 100
Over what period of time?
in the next year. This will be a long process. I'm already frustrated.
So let's say you
I
have,
feel like I'm already way behind on how we've done things in the past, but it's just because everything's different and COVID on top of it.
COVID's been a big issue.
Yeah, so,
so if you have 100 cases over a year, that's 2 a week.
Well, that's what he had said, that
Yeah,
there'll be a couple
it'll be a
every week,
handful.
and, yeah.
per week, because again, this is different than a flood. I'm basing this on the 2011 windstorm, which wasn't as wide of an area, but floods, people generally don't have insurance, or even if they have flood insurance, there's still a lot of gaps that it doesn't cover. Windstorms, most people have insurance and they gotta go there first. It has to start with insurance, then to any other FEMA program if it opens, or the Iowa Individual Assistance Program, and then down to us. But we know there are gonna be gaps. The nice part about our coalition, once it gets to our level, we have no income guidelines. You just have to prove you have an unmet need that you can't fill in any other way for your personal residence or critical furnishings for your personal residence. And we don't care about income. You just gotta show that you have an unmet need that you absolutely positively can't meet. And the hardest part of this, believe it or not, is there are people who really have a need that will never apply because they think somebody else needs the money and they can get by. You know, we have the other ones that are right there at the front door as soon as something happens. That's just reality. But we have the other ones that we know we miss. And so that's the other part of their input, is to help get that word out with those people who really do need the help. That
No matter what you do, there's gonna be some.
there will be. It always is. Yeah. It always is. And there's also people who think they should have everything given to them and they can't get anything.
With the individual assistance that Lynn County got, I know Benton County,
They're
so
still
slighted, and that it's still being worked
It's
on.
still being worked on.
At some point, I would anticipate that you'd come out, if it's denied, that you would come out with an announcement
Yes.
that this is something we can do.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. We've already put, from day one, we've been putting the Iowa Individual Assistance applications out there because we don't, it's hard to get FEMA individual assistance, so I really wasn't expecting it. But this one also caught me off guard because usually they take the incident as a whole and they just include everybody, but they cherry pick one county this time. They'll have to justify that. But we're still working on that. But yes, we will make a major announcement that yes, FEMA has made their decision and it's done, and this is, and these are the programs you now need to register for. Yeah, yeah. But
Hopefully,
we've already had those applications out there, so if FEMA IA doesn't open, we've already got a lot of applications sitting at FEMA ready to be processed.
hopefully you get some publicity
Yes.
with that.
And it has been sent to all the local media.
And I'm not talking just newspapers,
Right,
you know.
right. Yeah, we have a Recovery Coalition
Television
Facebook
stations,
page, the county
yeah.
page. We're connected in with Jim Magdenfrau for the South. He's got a better connection, and the South Bend Star Press, but he's got a great following because of all the years of what he did down there. So he's helping us.
Right.
Yep. Right, so that's why I wanted to be here, just so you know what's going on.
I would suggest mark all those hours on your time sheet.
Okay, do you want me to do it like we did the COVID, like zoning there?
So like you said, on there, however many hours you're working for that,
Okay,
make sure we have some kind of a log somewhere.
okay, yeah, cause I didn't know how that other sheet worked, cause I break that out 5 ways. It'll
Yeah.
just be
So I
on,
don't know how they're gonna reverse it, so I would just mark your hours and how many hours you work for that,
It's all public record.
okay,
and we'll break it down.
okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sarah.
Just thanks.
Sure, thank you.
Life is good.
How are you guys doing, both of you? I already talked to Gary yesterday. How about you? I haven't seen you.
Just too busy helping the neighbors.
Yeah, I can see that. You take care of yourself, please. Both of you. Reach out. I've offered meals. I'll make pies, whatever.
We're good.
What kind of pies you make?
What do you like?
Frosted cookies. I can use some frosted cookies.
A lot of people get out there.
What kind of pies would you guys like? Would you just have to have them bring them up?
I'm an apple fan. I'll supply.
You know where to find me.
Oh,
Okay.
Mindy makes great apple pie.
Thanks, Sarah.
Pie?
Mindy Fisher, she makes great apple pie. There's down ambulance. So I brought her to our commission meetings when she was on the commission.
There you go.
Thank you.
Alrighty,
If
Scott,
something
thank you.
greatly emergency mode changes, obviously I'll text you, call you, whatever, but otherwise I'll just try to keep giving updates as we go forward with what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Cedar Rapids is
I'm gonna put this over here.
a lot different than, Cedar Rapids is a lot different than like Blairstown. I mean, those people are waiting for somebody to come pick up their trees. Blairstown had it done in 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and I think in general, that's a fair statement with most Iowans. We take care of things, you know, and when you get into metropolitan areas, you know, that they become a little more dependent. So you see requests for people with chainsaws, you know. I even had someone call needing storage, you know, after the storm, but he had no way to haul his stuff. Okay. So,
I'm sorry.
I know. We're used to doing things ourselves, making sure things happen. So,
Yeah.
being self-sufficient. Hey, good morning, Myron.
Morning.
It is your time.
West back ends, 31st Avenue, between 71st, 72nd. Bridge has got a weight limit, replacing it with that single box culvert, moving equipment in today.
Nice.
Knock it out probably before anybody can blink their eyes 3 times would be my bet. So, resolution to temporarily close that road for construction.
Okay.
So moved. Second?
All right. Gary made the motion and Tracy seconded to temporarily close road for construction on 31st Avenue. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh no, this is resolution, I'm sorry.
Aye. Seaman, aye.
And Bremer, aye. I apologize. I had it right in my hand.
How long will it be closed?
Till I get it done.
Gonna have her open for harvest?
Who I was talking to on the phone this morning, that must live south and farms north and vice versa. And, when I told him 3 or 4 weeks, he's like less than a month, 4 to 6 weeks. He said, I don't need to be in there until October, so that's fine with me. I wouldn't be surprised if they're pouring concrete on Friday. I think it could be 3 weeks, as little as 3 weeks.
Nice.
Single barrel, so I'm visualizing maybe 3-4 days, maybe 4. I think they'll pour the curtain walls, and they can pour the whole floor probably in one pour if they don't want to split it in 2, and then they'll do the barrel in 1, and so it won't take long.
Benton County Board of Supervisors, Rick Bremer speaking.
It might actually take longer for the concrete to cure out before we put the dirt on it than it will the
There you
building.
go. Yep, you're really faint.
He's got something, yeah.
Well, that's good news.
Well, the twin over at Van Horn might take 6 weeks, but I would bet this one could be done somewhere near 3, I think.
Yeah, there might not be a reason to have a bridge there now. I'm sorry.
Chief did it, he's like, he was gonna send his top-notch guy in, but he needed him somewhere else. But my opinion, I don't know that any of his crews aren't great, so. He does have a guy that works for him that he brought in and I think offered ownership in the company a little bit, that was involved with culverts that were built east of the Oak Grove Church.
Okay.
You want that first?
Kenny Craig Road, 31st. Put the asphalt down or down stuff on. Now I got complaints.
Didn't seem like it yesterday morning when I drove over it to speak up.
That's because you're probably not doing 60.
There's 40-mile-an-hour speed limit in front of Kenny's, I know. I was wanting to make sure he had all the moisture out of it for one. I was told by the chemical rep that was out there both Friday and Monday when we were doing it that
Okay.
you can
Well,
apply
let me
chloride to it
Ask
and it'll help
you to repeat your name, please.
reduce
Since
dust.
I
And it's
finally finally hear you.
you can get by with a lot lighter application rate, about half of what they normally do. So I thought about talking to Jay and O'Grady's and maybe
What
doing
was the
something
first
with
name?
their mag chloride
Tom?
product, but wanted to make sure that we.
And like next spring, you're gonna oil and chip it, planning on doing that?
Okay.
Leave it hold through the winter?
And a phone number, please.
May not, I haven't,
I'll take one.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I said this, I told him, I said, this is new,
Okay.
this is something new, you have to
Good.
experiment.
Okay, well, let me look into this, please. What is your relationship, if I may ask?
But I know,
Is that like
I mean,
father
there's a
or?
mild dust, but it's totally
Okay,
different than
okay.
line dust,
All
like
right.
it had been. And
I didn't think it was that bad, I wanted to pass
Making
there
notes, sorry.
Sunday, you know, but there is, yeah, there is
Okay.
this, but.
Well,
not
let me
like a
see
drought.
what I can communicate here, and someone will get back to you, whether it's myself or someone else, okay? Okay, thank you for calling. All right, bye-bye. After the meeting.
Item 2, bridge deck replacement, north of Blairstown, apparently. December 15th, I think we're shooting for a wedding with Iowa DOT, so I need the title sheet signed by all 3 board members.
So you let it be spring when they.
It'll be next year's work, depending on the contractor and what their schedule is, but it'll be something that would get started and completed during the calendar year 2021.
Do you need a motion on this to sign or not?
Sure.
Yes, no?
Yes.
You don't?
So moved. Second.
All right, Gary made the motion, Tracy seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
That way, when it's all done and it looks great, then you all three can get the credit for it.
Are you gonna close the bridge?
Yeah.
Or are you gonna move the traffic, go west?
I don't know.
Or east 2 miles?
I'll either go east or west 5 miles like I'm doing right now around Benton, but whether the traffic starts going somewhere else, I don't know. You know, right now the Fox Culvert closing County Home Road out here east of Benton. I've got a routed detour going south on 218 over to Shellsburg and back north, but I know that being out there as well as a few phone calls that you do have traffic that are using the Rock Road, but each time I've been out there, although I've got calls from people south, I see just as many cars going north, and so I don't know that one route is predominantly used over the other or what I would do or not. If I felt one was being more heavily used than anything else, I think I would be quick to agree with some dust control. Right now out there, I have driven both of it a couple times, and just being on site and looking at the intersection, it sure seems pretty well balanced, and I see cars going or coming from the north and the south.
Anything else, sir?
That's all I had for you this morning.
Gentlemen, anything else? Haley? Okay. If that's it, let's wrap it up.
So move. Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.